Users Reddit, have you ever felt real 100% horror? And in the good old tradition, brew some coffee or tea and have a comfortable seat. I'll begin. When I lived in my previous house, I lived in an arranged basement. In order to enter it, I had to walk past the laundry room. Almost every night when I passed the laundry room, I saw a tall, pale woman in a long white dress with long black hair walking past at the same speed as I did. And when I reached the end of the doorway, she disappeared into the wall. Just as I started getting ready to move out, my uncle came over to help me with the move. We were packing up at the house, with my back to her and my uncle facing her. While we were packing, I saw my uncle turn pale. He stiffened and leaned over, and I realized that he was looking at something behind me. I asked him what happened, and he said that he had just seen someone walk behind me and disappear into the wall. I immediately asked what that someone looked like, and he started describing the exact same woman that I had seen the whole time. The second my mom comes downstairs and says we're ready. A relative of mine had moved into that room. I visited her from time to time, but I didn't see this lady in white. However, the look on my uncle's face will scare me for the rest of my life. Once, we stayed in a rented room in Prenzlauer Berg, Berlin. I didn't know whether the place was styled like East Germany in the 70s, or if it just hadn't been changed in 40 years. I suspected the latter. The first night, my friends and I heard footsteps in our apartment. The next night, while we were drinking in the kitchen, some invisible force knocked a lamp off the table. Soon after, we heard 3 distinct loud knocks on the door of the apartment. Being the only brave person, I rushed to the door, thinking it might be the landlord or something, but there was no one there. When we went to the website of the company where we rented this apartment, we read reviews from former visitors who had also reported similar creepy events. My wife and I were camping by a very remote lake, and I made a fire to get us comfortable. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw something fall right by the fire. At first, I thought it was a branch, but it turned out to be the lower part of a deer leg where the hoof is attached. Suddenly, I had this feeling that something very bad was about to happen. So we hopped in the van and drove the 40 miles back to town. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 days before I moved in. I was hungry, so I decided to go downstairs to get something to eat. When I got to the bottom of the stairs, I heard some girl humming a tune. I wasn't sure what I heard. I chalked it up to my tiredness, but I was definitely scared. I looked behind the boxes and went all around the house, but I didn't find anyone. The night before I moved in, I went downstairs and heard the same woman's voice humming a different tune, and that's when I got really scared. I think that was the way the ghost wanted to say goodbye to me forever. It was when I first started going to high school in Texas. My mother and my grandmother's and I were living in a fairly new 2-bedroom apartment. However, after living there for about a year, I noticed that the faucets turned on by themselves when I was alone, and sometimes I'd see, out of the corner of my eye, running silhouettes. I thought I was paranoid, but then my mom brought in a Buddhist priest and made us go through the ritual. Now, I'm not religious and consider myself an agnostic, but I agreed to the ritual because my mother and priest were very insistent that I say a prayer every day and wear a specific beaded bracelet on my arm every day. After that, the taps stopped opening on their own, and I stopped seeing shadows running. It turned out that a man in our apartment had died of a heart attack, and I wasn't the only one who saw strange things. Years later, my mother told me that one day she was walking upstairs to my room and saw in my room with a grown man's legs. When she went upstairs and went into my room, she didn't find anybody. But after one night, she realized that we needed a priest. She was putting me to bed, and when she went back to her room, she saw that the sheet of the bed was a little wobbly, as if someone had gotten under the bed. She didn't go over to the bed and just sat down on the floor to look under the bed. Suddenly, she saw a figure in a hospital gown, with very pale skin and long black hair. She didn't look at her and just ran out of the room. Of course, that was the last straw for her. After she told me that story, I was very happy that we had moved out. Once, when I was 12 years old, I was visiting my grandmother for the summer. She and my grandfather owned a small 20-acre ranch in Cortez, Colorado. One morning, she asked me if I wanted to go out with her and go for a drive. For some reason, I said no, which wasn't at all like me. I stayed in her bed and watched TV. And after a while, after she left, I noticed something in the hallway. It was some kind of dark figure. As I was looking at it, all of a sudden, the phone rang. I picked up the phone, thinking it was my grandmother. And when I picked up the phone, that figure was gone. Suddenly, an unknown voice said, "Willie, hi." "Who is it?" I asked. He said, "I just saw your grandmother have an accident, and she told me to pick you up and take you to the hospital." "Oh no, My neighbors are giving me a ride. When I saw the pictures of the accident, I was shocked. The back of the car was just dented. To this day, I feel like an angel made me stay at home. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on Earth. I'm not a religious person, but now, I don't know anything anymore. Adendium. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. My grandmother is fine, but she doesn't drive a car anymore. She's had cancer, but she beat it every time. I think she's invincible. I never believed in ghosts until the night I saw one. I was staying in a bed and breakfast in the countryside, and the room I was in had an eerie feeling to it. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I wasn't alone. Late at night, I woke up to see a shadowy figure standing in front of the window. Its eyes glowed red, and I could feel its cold breath on my face. I froze in terror, unable to move or scream. The figure vanished as suddenly as it appeared, but I was left with a sense of dread that stayed with me long after the encounter. I asked the owner about the room's history, and she told me that a previous guest had reported seeing the same figure. I never returned to that bed and breakfast, but the memory of that night haunts me to this day. I now believe that some things are beyond our comprehension, and that there are things in this world that we should fear. I woke up in the middle of the night, feeling an icy breath on my neck. I turned around, but no one was there. I shrugged it off, thinking it was just a draft. But then, I heard footsteps coming closer and closer. My heart was racing as the sound got louder and louder, until it was right beside me. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't find my voice. Suddenly, a dark figure appeared at the foot of my bed. It was so close I could feel its breath on my face. I tried to move, but my body was frozen. It whispered in my ear, "I've been waiting for you." I closed my eyes tightly and hoped it would go away. But when I opened them again, it was still there. I don't know how long I laid there, paralyzed with fear, but eventually the figure disappeared. I don't know if it was a dream or something more sinister, but I never want to experience anything like that again. Thank you for watching this video on abnormal phenomena. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel for more spooky content. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments below. Have you ever experienced anything unexplainable or paranormal? Share your stories with us. Remember, just because something cannot be explained by science or logic, it doesn't mean it's not real. The world is full of mysterious and unexplained phenomena, and it's up to us to keep an open mind and explore these mysteries. Stay curious, stay brave, and stay tuned for more eerie adventures. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with your fellow paranormal enthusiasts. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.